Hi guys, in this video we're going to be looking at a particular setup that we can use in order to collect a gas from a chemical reaction. So the main experience and outcome that this takes is to do with chemical reactions and I can't remember the exact phrasing, but two different substances interacting in order to produce a new substance. And that's what we're looking at here. Now, you can use this setup for multiple different reactions. There's three that I commonly use it for. I'm going to show you one of them today and I'll talk about the other two. You do not need this fancy equipment. This is just to allow me to go hands-free for this reaction. All you really need is a test tube, a bowl of water, two test tubes, a bowl of water, a bung connected to a delivery tube, and whatever reactants you're wanting to use. So to start off with, I'm going to take one of the test tubes, I'm going to submerge it in the water so it fills up. Okay, so that's now full of water. Now, if I remove it from the water, partly, sort of turn it upside down in the water, it stays full of water. For some kids, that in and of itself is a bit of a revelation. They think that's amazing. Now what I'm going to do, I could easily just hold it partially in the water here, but just for ease, I'm going to connect it to that there, just so I can hold it. Now, the particular reaction that I'm going to do is an old classroom favourite. We've got acetic acid, or ethanoic acid, vinegar, and sodium bicarbonate, bicarbonate soda. And we're going to introduce these two together into another test tube. So pour in the vinegar, and even just the tiniest amount of bicarbonate of soda will do here. Now, before I actually start the reaction, I'm going to thread the delivery tube into the bowl and under the test tube here. I'll show you the setup of this just now. So once the reaction starts, the gas is going to be produced. It's going to bubble up through the tube and up into the test tube here. I'll bring the camera up at this point so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. So here's the setup. I'll try and should be able to see that there. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to remove the bung and put in just a tiny amount of the bicarbonate of soda. Just a sprinkle is usually enough. So small amount here, and then immediately get the bung back on. And what we should see is a whole load of bubbles going on here, and that is forcing the water out of the test tube, and it's filling it up with carbon dioxide gas from this reaction. So the gas produced in this reaction is carbon dioxide. Now, how can we prove this? Well, a couple of things that we can do. I'll set up the camera back here again. Excuse me. Now, we can prove this in a couple of different ways. One way that we can test the presence of carbon dioxide is it should put out a lit splint. So if I was to take a candle, for instance, or better yet, a splint, which I left over there, and I don't want to run off camera again, but if I take a lit splint, hold it underneath the gas and then pour the gas over it, it should put out the splint. So that's a test for a gas there. Now the kids are seeing that we've produced something new. They can actually see that being produced. They can see that there is a gas being produced and it's displaced the water. That in and of itself meets the learning outcome. They've seen the production of a new substance from two different substances. But if we want to take it that little bit further, and there's no reason we can't, okay, yes, sure, it's going to high school level, we can do the actual test for different gases. So in the case of carbon dioxide, that will put out a lit splint. We can produce oxygen as well if we use hydrogen peroxide and a little bit of yeast solution. So dissolve a little bit of yeast in some water and then pour it. That's why we normally have this one. So I'd have yeast in here, hydrogen peroxide in there. When I pour one into the other and replace the stopper, what I'm going to get being produced is oxygen. Now, the test for oxygen is it will relight a glowing splint. So if I have a splint of wood and blow it out so it's still glowing a little bit, when I put the splint into the test tube, it should reignite or at least spark up a little bit again. And the final gas that we can produce with this reaction, or that I produce with this reaction when I do it, is hydrogen. The way we do that is using 0.1 molar hydrochloric acid, which I've got here. So a small amount of hydrochloric acid and some magnesium ribbon, which I have elsewhere. So the two of them in here will produce hydrogen gas. And that can be recognized by the fact that once it's been collected, if you very quickly stick a lip splint into it, it will produce a pop noise, which the kids find very satisfying. So, 3 different experiments at least that you can do with this. As a matter of fact, any reaction that produces a gas, it can be collected using this setup. So just a test tube with a bung through a delivery tube into another test tube that was filled with water. And there is nothing wrong with getting the kids just to manually hold the test tube. With the hydrochloric acid and magnesium, it takes ages, it takes really quite a long time for the gas to be produced, but with both the oxygen from the hydrogen peroxide and yeast and the bicarbonate of soda and vinegar producing carbon dioxide, they're very, very quick indeed. So you can easily do that without any problem at all. Give it a shot. Cheers.